Welcome back to this new lesson of our AEWIA training course, co-funded by the Erasmus Plus program under the call Erasmus EDU 2023 Vert Exchange and coordinated by SOS Europa. In Lesson 3, we explored the foundations of intangible cultural heritage, ICH, what it is, why it matters, and how it shapes identity and belonging in both African and European communities. Today, in Lesson 4, we go a step further. We will examine how intangible cultural heritage becomes a concrete tool for women's empowerment, community leadership, and sustainable development. This lesson is about transformation, transforming traditions into opportunities, transforming cultural knowledge into advocacy, and transforming women's roles from guardians of heritage into leaders of change. From preservation to empowerment, moving beyond the traditional view of women and heritage. Historically, women have been described as guardians or transmitters of cultural heritage. This description is not wrong, but it is incomplete. In African and European communities, women often preserve storytelling traditions, rituals connected to life events, culinary knowledge, artisanal crafts, healing practices, community celebrations, songs, dances, and oral histories. But preservation alone is passive. In AWIA, we look at a more dynamic approach, women as active interpreters and innovators of heritage, not only keepers of the past, but creators of the future. This shift is crucial. When a woman uses her traditional knowledge to strengthen her community, start a social initiative, promote inclusion, or advocate for women's rights, heritage becomes empowerment. Intangible heritage as an entry point for dialogue and social transformation. Intangible heritage has a unique power. It connects emotions, identity, and community. This makes it a strategic entry point for sensitive discussions, especially in contexts where gender equality or youth participation may be controversial. In many communities, talking about gender rights might be difficult. But talking about that, traditional proverbs, roles of women in rituals, historical stories of female ancestors, community symbols and values, often opens the door to deeper dialogue. Heritage becomes a bridge, not a barrier. Through AWIA, young women can use heritage narratives to introduce topics such as equity in leadership roles, women's economic participation, access to education, community well-being, and sustainability. Tradition becomes a safe, familiar, and respected framework from which new ideas can grow. Case insight: how women use heritage for local development. Across Africa and Europe, thousands of women already use heritage as a resource for community empowerment. Here are examples that illustrate the AEWI vision. A. Heritage crafts as social entrepreneurship. Artisans, whether weaving, pottery, textile dyeing, embroidery, or jewelry making, often transform traditional techniques into micro-businesses. These activities generate income, preserve cultural knowledge, increase women's visibility, improve their social status, create networks of mutual support. E. Storytelling as a tool for advocacy. Women's storytelling circles, traditional in many African and Mediterranean cultures, are now used to discuss gender-based violence, early marriage, intergenerational conflict, migration stories. Through narrative, women strengthen solidarity and bring sensitive topics to light. C. Traditional songs and dance as community mobilization. Performing arts are powerful tools to unite people during local campaigns or awareness activities. Dance groups, choirs, or community performances rooted in heritage can communicate messages about environmental protection, girls' education, peace, and social cohesion. These examples show that intangible heritage is not old. It is a living engine of development. Intangible heritage and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Linking heritage to development is essential for AWIA and for the Erasmus Plus virtual exchange's objectives. Intangible heritage supports several SDGs. SDG 5, Gender Equality. Heritage practices often place women in visible or symbolic roles. Highlighting these roles helps challenge stereotypes and reframe women as leaders, not only caregivers. SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth. Heritage-based crafts and creative activities create local jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities for women. SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Cultural practices strengthen identity, cohesion, and resilience, crucial for sustainable communities. SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Stories, rituals, and traditional mediation practices can support community dialogue and conflict prevention. SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. Heritage connects generations, cultures, and countries, the essence of the AWIA partnership. Heritage is not just cultural, it is developmental. How young women can transform heritage into advocacy. Now let's connect directly to your role as participants in this course. Here are 5 practical ways you can use heritage in your advocacy actions. Use heritage stories to challenge harmful cultural stereotypes. Instead of attacking traditions, highlight positive, empowering cultural expressions led by women. Create digital content showing women as creators and innovators. Short videos, reels, interviews with female artisans, or digital exhibitions can have real impact. Connect cultural heritage to community issues. For example, traditional agriculture and climate change, oral histories and women's leadership, rituals and intergenerational solidarity. Build networks around heritage. Cultural activities naturally bring people together. Use them to create alliances with elders, youth, local associations, schools, and cultural centers. Present heritage as a shared responsibility. Advocacy becomes stronger when framed not as women versus men, but as community working together. Digital tools to valorize heritage across borders. Since AAWA is a virtual exchange project, digital tools play a central role. Here are examples of how you can use them effectively. Digital storytelling platforms. Use video, podcasts, Instagram, or TikTok to document heritage practices. Collaborative maps. Create online maps of intangible heritage from different countries. Virtual exhibitions. Showcase crafts, dances, songs, or intergenerational stories in online galleries. Cross-border dialogue groups. Use AWIA virtual spaces to compare traditions between Africa and Europe and identify shared values. Heritage-based campaigns. Build advocacy messages grounded in symbols, stories, or values familiar to your community. Digital tools help heritage travel from local to global and make women's voices visible. Your assignment for Lesson 4. To internalize today's concepts, complete this reflection exercise. Choose one element of intangible cultural heritage from your community. It could be a song, story, ritual, craft, proverb, dance, or healing practice. Answer these questions. How does this heritage relate to women? What values does it express? How could it inspire an advocacy message for your community? How could digital tools help you share it beyond your local context? This reflection will prepare you for the next lesson. Conclusion. Lesson 4 showed that intangible cultural heritage is not simply a cultural memory. It is a strategic tool for empowerment, leadership, advocacy, and sustainable development. Within the AWIA framework, women can transform heritage into a powerful resource for community action, digital networking, and cross-continental solidarity. In Lesson 5, we will explore how to design a complete advocacy campaign, starting from cultural values, integrating digital storytelling, and connecting local actions to international frameworks. Let's move forward.